On April 12, 2026, J.D. Vance departed from high-stakes negotiations in Islamabad. Within hours of his exit, the U.S.-Iran peace talks reached a total impasse and collapsed. For India, the fallout is measured in days. On April 26, the U.S. sanctions waiver for Chabahar Port expires, threatening the trade in these containers. With fewer than 600 hours left, the diplomatic shield is vanishing. Without an agreement, it faces immediate economic isolation. The Islamabad failure demonstrates how quickly a localized diplomatic breakdown can expose the vulnerabilities of an entire region. For nations relying on these temporary waivers, the safety net is proving to be far thinner than previously assumed. The trigger for this collapse was a massive military escalation. Under Operation Epic Fury, a joint U.S.-Israeli campaign launched nearly 900 precision strikes against Iranian command centers and the underground nuclear sites at Fordo and Natanz. Reaching these deep subterranean facilities required specific kinetic tools. B-2 stealth bombers delivered GBU-57 bunker busters, designed to penetrate 60 meters of reinforced concrete. Iran's response was maximum asymmetric retaliation. Drone swarms, smart sea mines, and unmanned surface vessels were deployed to totally blockade the Strait of Hormuz. This choke point removed 20 million barrels of crude oil daily, jumping alternative freight costs 400%. The shock also hits agriculture. Shutting Qatar's Ras Laffan gas facility caused a 35% spike in global fertilizer costs, just as Asia's sowing season began. Within weeks, the Hormuz blockade disrupted the just-in-time supply model that the global economy has relied on for decades. This crisis is forcing a pivot toward energy sovereignty, where security is defined by physical control rather than trade agreements. As the physical energy market fractures, a new tech-based alignment is taking its place. India has now formally joined Pax Silica, a U.S.-led coalition designed to ring-fence the supply chains for semiconductors and artificial intelligence. The core of this alliance is the silicon wafer. Controlling its microscopic architecture is becoming as vital to national survival as defending a physical border. To enforce this, the U.S. Match Act sets a strict 150-day deadline for allies to align their export standards. This creates a binding requirement for nations like Japan and the Netherlands to eliminate residual licensing, effectively closing the gaps in the technological blockade against China. Between the Match Act and Pax Silica, we are seeing the emergence of a silicon shield. It is a model where supply chains are weaponized as a primary defense, and microchips do the work once reserved for naval fleets. This drive for absolute control has even stalled long-standing decolonization efforts. The UK has suspended the transfer of the Chagos archipelago to Mauritius to protect the strategic military outpost at Diego Garcia. The reversal followed direct opposition from President Trump, who argued that surrendering sovereignty would weaken the West's military position in the Indian Ocean. This prioritization of the high ground extends beyond Earth. The Artemis II mission marks a significant expansion of sovereign presence into lunar orbit. Across every theater, from remote island bases to the lunar surface, the global strategy is undergoing a fundamental shift. National survival is being tied to the physical occupation of the high ground, regardless of previous diplomatic trends. The final element of this new playbook is rapid rearmament. By May 2026, the Indian Air Force expects its 4th squadron of the Russian S-400 missile system to complete its air defense umbrella. The delivery moves ahead despite Western sanctions, made possible by a rupee-ruble trade mechanism bypassing global financial networks entirely. These defenses are now reacting to the lessons of the Hormuz blockade, where cheap drone swarms and decoy and strike sequencing proved they could overwhelm even the most advanced networks. India's response was Operation Sindoor, a combat validation of indigenous loitering munitions and AI-guided interceptors designed to counter high-end threats like China's GJ-11 stealth drones. From the 14-day clock at Chabahar to the Persian Gulf energy crisis and the rearmament at the border, the evidence points in one direction. Nations are no longer waiting for the next treaty. They are building the hardware to survive without one. The era of geographic and diplomatic complacency is coming to an end. In this landscape, security is a product of technological and physical control. If you found this analysis of the shifting global order valuable, please like and subscribe.